Hello, gamers from around the world. This is Boxenberger, the video game enthusiast from Germany, and I would like to welcome you to this week's episode of the World of Gaming. And Dutch, we are here on a Friday.
We are
Very
indeed.
unusual spot. Usually, if we skip Thursday, we move to the weekend, right?
Yeah.
But here we are on a Friday evening. I want to welcome everyone. Hope everyone's doing great. Welcome, a big welcome to everyone who listens after the fact, either here on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening. A big welcome. And Dutch, my man, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Like I mentioned on X, obviously we delayed it because my kitten had his castration. He's neutering, so he was still woozy and flopping about and things like that yesterday, and I was just keeping an eye on him. And like I say, today I've had maybe he's a tiny setback with him. But he's going into the vets tomorrow just to check over and make sure everything's all right. But other than that, I'm okay.
That's good. That's good. I mean, who would love to get his balls cut off, right?
I know, not any of us.
No,
Where to
no.
get your balls cut off and then wear a cone for a week.
Yeah. It doesn't sound like fun. Okay.
So he's currently miserable. But yeah, I've just been gaming, so I'm all right.
All right. Yeah, it's a little too hot here in Germany for proper enjoyment of gaming or enjoying anything at all. Honestly,
I've
I'm
just been on the
melting
Ally.
away.
There's absolutely no chance I could have been in here.
Yeah, it's Jesus. We had 36 degrees here today, and it's now 8 p.m., 20 o'clock, and we still have 33 degrees, and I'm just
Lovely.
dying in here. It's insane. And it's gonna get even hotter over the weekend. So, besides that, Dutch, I'm doing well myself.
Good.
Good. So, I'm trying to stay hydrated during the podcast. I hope I can take or do the podcast without a bathroom break there, though.
Yeah, I've got some juice. Like I say, this room gets very toasty, as you can probably imagine, with like, it is just electronics.
Yes. It's like I have my PC underneath the desktop here, and I'm getting
gaming laptop, which gets very warm. TV, monitor, lights,
I have a
camera,
proper tower,
consoles.
and it's just.
Yep.
Anyway, I was actually thinking about doing the podcast without pants on, just in my boxers.
I've got like thin shorts on. To be fair, I've got like
I've
thin shorts on.
I have decided, even though nobody's gonna see the shorts, I've also put on very thin shorts.
Yep. Yep.
All right. That's not what we're here for, right?
No.
To talk about cat
Shorts.
castrations, shorts, and heat waves. But we're here to talk gaming, Dutch, and plenty of stuff to talk about today. A lot of probably not so, enthusiastic topics this week, or happy topics. I much rather
Yep.
talk about positive news than bad news.
Well, we've got some unhappy topics, and then we've got some cool topics as well, because we've had some
very true.
good gameplay stuff to talk about.
Absolutely. All right, Dutch. Before we do that, and before we get into the show properly, of course, we need to talk about the most important thing in gaming, and especially on X. Sometimes that just doesn't find the discussion room, right? Even though we should be talking way more about the cool games we are playing and what we love about them, or maybe not don't love about them, but yeah, you don't find these discussions on X that much. So that's why we're here for. So let us know in the chat, everyone. What are you guys currently playing in Dutch? I know your main game, but the community doesn't. So
yeah, I've of course with Revelations being announced and having Remake and Rebirth on
Yeah.
Xbox. I've been going through them at the moment. So I finished Remake. It must have been the beginning of this week, I think. If not the tail end of last week. Finished Remake on Xbox. Or at least I didn't do all the quests and things like that because there's far too many random things to do on that require multiple playthroughs.
Yeah.
And I'm not just talking like one or two playthroughs. It's like you've got to get like multiple dresses and things like that for the characters, and that requires doing certain types of quests beforehand in order to get those dresses. So you don't get to choose it; it's randomized. So you go. So, and I've just haven't got time for that. Thankfully, Rebirth was a little bit nicer on that front, and a lot of them you can get on the first playthrough, and only a couple of small ones you get on the second playthrough, and that's things like hitting the max level, completing at a hard difficulty, like really basic things like that on the second playthrough. Whereas on the first playthrough, you can pretty much get the vast majority of normal things done. But now I'm obviously on to Rebirth, and that's took over my life this week. So I've just discovered I'm ahead of you somehow.
Yes, for some reason. To be fair, I didn't get as much gaming time in this week as I wanted to, simply for work reasons. And there's also the World Cup going on, so I've been watching that as well.
I've been kind of half watching games that I'm not that bothered about. So I watched the Germany game, I half watched the England game, I watched the Netherlands game, and the others I've been watching whilst I've been playing.
Yeah. No, but I've also spent my time mainly with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Very much like you, we both did our first playthrough on PlayStation when it originally came out 2-3 years ago, right?
4 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while. And I'm very much enjoying my second playthrough now on Xbox, and the Ellie runs beautiful on the Ellie, by the way. And I'm enjoying this, I would say, probably even more than my first playthrough 2-3 years ago. It's just such a fantastic world and storytelling. I really do enjoy the combat. It's beautiful. The characters are fun.
I like it. I just like how it's definitely fleshed out a bit, and I've been seeing again with the re-release of this and with Revelations coming up. The Final Fantasy fans are coming out in their droves on X, as you've probably seen me commenting to a few of them and being like, "My God!" Like a lot of them are saying, "Oh, it's not even a remake; it's a complete retelling." I'm like, "Well, it's not. It's a remake. They've just expanded on the story because if people actually went back and played the OGs." As people know, Midgar takes like an hour to get out of.
Yeah.
Maybe it's 2 hours max to get out of Midgar. And obviously Midgar is remake.
Yeah.
And it's like a 60-hour game. Like if you complete everything, it's like a 25 to 60-hour game, depending on what you do.
Yes.
Significantly different. They've expanded on the story a lot, expanded on the characters and the characters' backstories.
Introduced side quests and everything.
Yeah. And flesh out the world a lot more, and same for Rebirth. Rebirth just completely like as people know who've played the original Final Fantasy VII. You can Yuffie, who is essentially a main character in this, was a completely bypassable side character that you didn't even have to get in the original. You could completely overlook her and never come across her.
Yeah.
Same with Sid. You could just completely miss those characters entirely, play the entire game, and never have them in the story.
Yeah. True that. No, I'm very much enjoying it. I find myself doing a lot more of the side stuff. In my original playthrough, I was like, I'm not for this open world, or it's not really open world, but open aerial stuff. But this time, I'm finding myself exploring a lot more, unlocking the towers and the mysteries and everything. Doing the side quests, and I'm really enjoying that. It is a fantastic
There are some
game.
cool side quests. There are some cool side quests,
Yeah,
and some of them but there's like a mad little mini story that goes on. I don't know whether or not you play the card game inside of it,
Yeah, I have.
Queen's Blood. But
Yes,
if
Queen's
you
Bloods.
constantly rank up your Queen's Blood and beat everybody, there's like a little mini story that goes on in between as well when you're beating all the
Yeah.
different characters, and you get like these little cutscenes every now and again.
Yeah, and some of the side quests are really big, where
Yeah,
they take you 1.5, 2 hours to finish, right?
yeah,
With their entire separate storyline. It's really cool, man. I'm having a blast.
yeah.
I also jumped in, didn't play that much, but a little bit. Rayman again.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice,
yeah. Rayman
nice.
Legends, to be precise. That's also something.
What else? What else? Uh, yeah. I mean, I downloaded all the Pixel remasters. I've got them
Nice.
installed, ready to play through them as well. Because I was looking at how long, because it's been a long time since I played the originals anyway, and obviously I've got the Pixel remasters. So I was like, well, how long does it take to actually complete them now? And obviously on the new ones, you've got the boosts and things like that as well, so you can get through them a lot quicker, and like double XP and triple XP or whatever. So significantly quicker, and you can get through like the first one in like 6 to 8 hours, which is super short. You can get
Yeah.
through like a lot of them in like 10 to 15 hours as well. So I'm probably going to blitz through them as well slowly, just on the Ally.
Yeah.
I've got them installed natively there, and they should work fine because it's old.
I would assume so.
Yeah. But other than that, I've been debating whether or not to download like a Halo again as well. I was debating on downloading Reach.
Yeah,
Halo
similar with
Reach.
Gears. I've been thinking about giving Gears 4 and 5 another playthrough, but I don't want to burn myself out, you know,
Yeah.
before E-Day comes out. And similar with Halo, right?
Yeah.
So no, I'm focusing now on Rebirth.
I think a lot of people didn't. I mentioned this in one of the chats as well the other day, and they were I was mentioning like I'll play the new Halo when it comes out, but I'll be literally completing the story and then uninstalling it.
Yeah, I mean,
That's like
without the
I'm just gonna
multiplayer.
just go through.
Yeah,
There's no multiplayer. It is just the campaign. I'll play the campaign,
yeah,
play the nice new levels, and then I'll uninstall it because ultimately it's going to look fancy. It's going to look nice. I'm going to see what it's like in Unreal, see how it plays in Unreal, get an idea of it, complete the story, and then done because I've played the story like so many times
lots of
already.
times.
So,
Yeah, but
and like you say, there's just so much else that needs
yeah,
to be played.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I have Hades 2 installed. I finally want to get to that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's plenty of stuff to play. All right, Dutch. Let's get ourselves into some topics. We'll get to the Xbox stuff because there's a lot of stuff happening at Xbox with Asha's reset. Also did a video on that, by the way, earlier this week. If you haven't watched it, definitely check that out. But before we do that, and this is something sometimes gets overlooked, at least in my timeline, is Xbox not the only company facing layoffs, right? Earlier today, it has been reported that apparently EA is going to have some layoffs. And the big one came up earlier this week from multiple sources that Bungie is facing massive layoffs. The number of 400 people getting laid off over there at Bungie is circling without Destiny 3 in development. I mean, all that Bungie has is
the
Marathon,
acquisition of
right?
the acquisition of Bungie from the start was an absolute clusterfuck.
Yes.
putting it nicely, it's been an absolute clusterfuck from start to finish.
Yes, absolutely.
At the moment they were acquired, there was something was not right there, and they had obviously the takeover was a bit weird in itself, and then they had loads of people getting laid off almost immediately or being offered layoffs immediately after the takeover. And then of course it's just been stuttering. They've had like not very well received DLCs for Destiny 2.
Yes.
And then, of course, Marathon.
Marathon. I mean, people that do play it seem to enjoy it.
They did, but it comes to something when Destiny 2,
yeah,
because of its announcement, has ended up with more active players now than Marathon currently has.
Yes, that is very true. It even climbed this Steam sales list again.
Yeah.
Um,
Because they put it on a deep discount, didn't it? Put it on for like
I'm with you.
$10 or something.
I'm with you. This whole takeover from Sony was just handled so poorly. It started to feel weird when they took it over and then decided they are still remaining their own publisher. Nobody knew really how that was supposed to work, right? Is Sony now backing Bungie, or are they not? Are they still run independently? There was so much confusion, and then I mean, Destiny 2 already had been on a downhill for a while, right?
Yeah.
When Sony took them over, and the thing everyone wanted was Destiny 3, right? It's never been greenlit, not to this day. There are petitions out there. There's like a massive.
Apparently, the idea was shelved, wasn't it?
Yes, exactly, because it would just simply cost too much, right? Even though we all know,
which is really weird because ultimately, the reason you're buying Bungie is unfortunately can't have Halo because that belongs to
yes.
Microsoft. But the reason you're buying Bungie was because of an IP that they had that was
Yeah.
successful, and that IP was Destiny.
And that Marathon is not going to be a success. Everyone was able
Nope.
to tell that up front, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't as bad as Concord, but
No. It would take a lot to be as bad as a Concord.
True that. It goes in a similar direction, right?
Yeah.
Even though, again, people who actually play it seem to enjoy it, there's just no demand for such a game. The games as a service market is saturated anyway, and the extraction shooter genre is like so overly crowded at the moment. Then not doing it free to play, not looking like it should, right? There was really no chance for that game to succeed. But that's what they've ultimately decided to develop, right? And not Destiny 3, the thing everybody wanted, and that could have been a success, right? It's very unfortunate to see. I mean, of course, I hope for all the people affected there that they land on their feet swiftly, but it's also kind of sad to see that a big developer like Bungie, the creators of Halo, right? The creators of Destiny, and I mean, you can say about Destiny what you want, but
I enjoyed my time with it originally. The moment I got fucked off with Bungie was when they deleted all of the
old stuff.
previous content. Yes. Yep, and I was like,
yeah. I mean,
like,
honestly,
never do that. People bought that stuff and they're just like, oh yeah, well, we're just removing it.
Yeah. I was so heavily invested in Destiny 1 at the time when it came out. It just felt like a fresh breath of air, right? It was not an MMO, but also not this typical online multiplayer shooter. It was like a very approachable for the casual or more casual gamers thing.
Yeah.
Not an MMO where okay, now I need to invest 1,000+ hours. They had these cool concepts with this shared open areas where you could meet other guardians, right? They had the RPG light elements in there where you could upgrade, which is always an addictive gameplay loop. The shooting felt great. They had these, for instance, the strikes was a great mix for people that do not
and cool story originally.
Yeah, cool story behind it. The strikes was a great concept that we haven't seen in that many games.
And then the proper raids as well.
Yeah, yeah, but the raids are very much like raids in MMOs, right? But the strikes I thought offered something unique because you could play through such a strike in like 10-15 minutes, right? It
Yeah.
wasn't like a the next 5 hours I'm gonna do this raid kind of thing, and I need to have a party of X friends that I actually need to talk to. But you could play this with two other people very casually without having to bother jumping into voice chat or something, right? It was just a cool concept for a game, and um, unfortunately, with Destiny 2, after 2-3 years after Destiny 2 came out, they started to take it down the crapper, and um, it's very unfortunate to see that Sony wasn't willing to fund them in a way to do a proper Destiny 3, right? But rather place their bet on a quick buck
Quick flip.
with Marathon, and yeah, it's super unfortunate.
I mean, it got for me. I was having a look at the DLCs that were available for it as well, and I noticed one of them, and this just shows how devoid of ideas there must have been for content when they introduced lightsabers and things into it.
Yes.
I was like, "What are you putting Star Wars items into Destiny for?" Like, I know it's a space game, but come on, you can't be that devoid of ideas that you put knockoff lightsabers in there.
Mm. Yeah, it it just reached the peak where you said, okay, now we need a reset. We need a Destiny 3. You can't
Yeah,
expand this with annual DLCs anymore. And the monetization took overhand, right? I felt it didn't really feel forced upon to you in the first one, and even when 2 came out, it didn't feel like microtransactions are forced onto you, but they
yeah,
changed that as well, and it was to a point where it just was annoying, right? Yeah, very unfortunate, Dutch. And I mean, the number 400 um, apparently
50% of
accounts to
stuff.
50% of staff, right?
Yeah,
That's Bungie X'd in a way, um, where there's really not much left of the studio.
yeah,
And they're gonna support Marathon for what I would assume is maximum half a year now, and then you can bury that as well. And with that, I feel like Bungie will eventually be gone. Very unfortunate, dude.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And of course, that was not the only negative news cycle we got this week.
yeah, very true. Um, let's get this over to Xbox. A lot of different kind of reports happened on, over there at Xbox. Just to give some context, right? A couple of weeks ago, Asha already hinted at hard decisions, hard choices that need to be made. Um, but the positivity was really around Xbox. Asha definitely revived some of the hopes for fans. Then they had the showcase, right? Great showcase. Exclusives, at least to some degree, are back. They've announced cool new games with Senua and Spyro, and a lot of excitement there. And we've talked about the showcase, but now it really seems to unravel what at least some of the things that Asha teased when she spoke about Xbox needs a reset, right? When she spoke about hard choices need to be made. Um, there are multiple things that we can cover or will cover on this. Let's start with the studio closures. A lot of different reports from different sources, from your likes, from Bloomberg and Jason Schreier to Tom Henderson to many others, report that not only Compulsion, but Double Fine, Ninja Theory, and several other studios are at hard negotiations to get spin off, right?
Or
Negotiations
avoid
are
closure.
going exactly. Negotiations for buyouts are going on before they are being closed down. And yeah, Dutch. Before I give my take, because I have a lot to say on this. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mentioned this a couple of weeks back when we were talking about studio closures. In all
Yeah.
fairness, I said I want every studio to have the ability to find new investors or find new buyers before they close down. It's like some kind of weird Mystic Meg thing we've got going on at the moment, because that seems to be happening all of the time. We mentioned something, and then that tends to be what's happening. I think I sent you an article as well on there saying I could see Turn 10 potentially turning into a sports studio.
Yes.
And then there was an article popped up that I sent you that said Turn 10 maybe turning into a sports studio.
Yeah.
I was like, what is going on? Why do I mention these things and then they just seem to appear in articles? And I don't have any insider information. This is just pure, like I say, a common sense approach.
Yes.
Like, there's clearly very technical and very capable people working at Turn 10 that control the Forza Tech engine, and are very capable of designing it and working on it, etc., to support the more superior product that they've created in recent years, which is Forza Horizon,
Yes.
which runs on Forza Tech. So, and of course, we now know Fable, which also runs on Forza Tech.
Yep.
So, if that is the case, and you've got two studios, essentially two teams at a different studio who makes very successful games, and a studio that unfortunately in recent times has not made a successful sim racer, but has got a very good engine, then you keep as many of the staff from Turn 10 that are capable of improving and working on that engine as time goes on, and turn them into a support studio. As people will hate to know that Turn 10 may disappear as a game development product.
Yeah.
I feel like that could happen because unfortunately the Forza sim racing franchise has not been successful in recent years, and I'm talking like 4, 5, or the recent one.
Yeah.
It just hasn't been successful, so that's unfortunate. On another front, we'll talk about the weirdest one, which is Ninja Theory.
Yeah, I think we will talk about all of them. But before we
Yeah,
do
but the
that,
weirdest one I want to get,
a general thought out. It is the only positive thing I can take out of this is that the first reflex seems not to be just shut everything down like they did last year. But to actually look into buyouts, look into possibilities to let the studios go
save
independent.
Jobs. Yeah.
And with that, saving jobs. I think that is the good part about it, because in the past they have shut down studios, just like Sony did, right, left and front in recent years. This time, at least from what we know today, it looks like they are looking into different solutions there.
Yeah.
And that is very good to hear, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely positive that they're going into those discussions. That, like I say, I would rather every studio has is the ability to go out and find alternate buyers, investors, or go independent again, if they can afford to do so.
I agree.
So that's, like you say, that is one positive spin on it.
I mean, how successful they will be, we shall see, right?
Yeah,
I
can see. Yeah, I mean, there's like you say, there's a number of studios there where you can kind of understand it. we'll, like I said, we'll go through them because each one's got a different kind of. I suppose each one has a different take where
Yeah.
it's less understandable than the other. Ninja Theory, I wanted to get to straight away because that one's the strangest one for me. The fact that they announced the game and then immediately you're talking about closing them down on a game that they've just announced, and then there was split stories. One of them was saying that Xbox decided that they wanted to show the trailer off, and then another story saying that it was Ninja Theory that insisted on showing the trailer off. But either way,
many reports point towards either way it got shown off intentionally to attract potential buyers. You know, simply to kind of like advertise, hey, here, this is Senua, this is how it looks. It looks a lot more like a game rather than a walking sim. It is in development. It is close to being ready with a release in 27. There are no boundaries of releasing that as a multi-platform title.
No, it's already announced as multi-plat. It's already announced.
Exactly. You know, that's because we've speculated directly after the showcase, right? Hey, if the new exclusive strategy is to keep those kind of games on the platform, why announce a game like Senua, shown first time to the world as a multi-platform? But at least from the outside, we really don't know if that is actually true. But from the outside, now it makes a lot more sense, right? To announce that as a multi-platform if you're looking for a buyout. Because if you would have announced that as an exclusive, it will not attract as many potential buyers simply for the fact that they know, okay, if we invest in that, we have to release it exclusively on Xbox, which limits, obviously.
Yeah. The issue they've got, there's a couple of main issues with specifically Ninja Theory, is all of their technology, their new technology, the IP for Senua Saga and Hellblade, all belong to Microsoft. So the state-of-the-art mocap, everything.
The entire studio and everything in it.
No, but in general, it's because when they bought Ninja Theory, they built them a purpose-built studio with state-of-the-art mocap features.
Mocap features, to record the binaural audio, they have a top-notch audio recording studio. All that tech belongs to Microsoft.
Yeah, we're talking like it would probably, in order to take over Ninja Theory and all of the tech that they have, you'd probably be looking at probably in the region of $1 billion just for them.
I'm not sure if it's that high, because as much as listen, you don't buy Ninja Theory for
you would buy them for the technology,
creative IP, because as much as I enjoyed Hellblade and Hellblade 2, it's not like I would not assume that Hellblade per se is an expensive IP or is considered like, oh, this is one of the best, most creative.
No, it's the technology you're buying them for.
Exactly, it's the technology you're buying them for. And with that, you also need to buy, like you said, buy off the expensive studios, the equipment, and everything. But I don't think that adds up to $1 billion. But I could be wrong. I mean, they have invested a lot into them. And like you said, I think this goes for most of the names that are being discussed for as potential closures, buyouts, spin-offs, whatever it's gonna be. The studios in principle have potential, but there's also the undeniable reason, and it's hard for me to phrase it properly because I feel for the people working there, right? And the people being affected. But from a platform holder, OEM, publisher kind of view, there is an issue, right? The game,
Yeah.
if you look at Hellblade 2 and how long it took them to make, that is an issue when the final result is a 5-hour walking sim. And
Yeah.
I don't want to crap on Hellblade 2. On the contrary, I very, very much enjoyed the game. I actually really love walking sims. I don't use the phrase walking sim as a negative uh, negative phrasing for anything. I love the genre.
Yeah.
However, when you invest so much time and money into a game and it turns out it is a technical masterpiece that has zero to little gameplay, that is obviously something you will not attract a bigger market with. That is obviously a niche game then. And I
Yeah.
mean, we've said this on the podcast, and I know that a lot of people also phrase it in a similar way. We've said this ever since Hellblade 2 came out. This should have been their God of War.
Yeah.
I also said, like, 2 years ago when the game came out, as good as it is, when a game is that short, it will never ever gain like general mind share because people. I played through the entire game in one sitting, and
So I've played it multiple times in one sittings.
yeah, and it is not long enough for me to get immersed into the world, to get attached to the characters or the lore or the story.
Yeah.
It's you start it, you play through it, and you're done, right? And
Yeah.
I think with such a high investment, that is not enough outcome. And they had
Nope.
for many years in development Project Mara, right?
Cancelled.
I yeah, I'm not sure whether it was 2019 or 2020 when they announced Project Mara, right?
Yeah.
And it took them 4+ years to finally cancel that. And this goes for other studios as well, and we'll get to others to Compulsion and Double Fine and Arcane and so on as well. When games take that long and are that
Yeah.
expensive to make, you have to have a better product at the end. It pains me to say, but this idea that Phil put out, and he was celebrated for that for a long time, even by us. We have to admit that, where they went out and said, "We give the studios total creative freedom." I don't know, countless times Phil said, "I can't imagine going into a studio and tell them what they need to do." And it turns out that is the wrong bet.
It is the wrong bet, but he's also right. You still don't want to tell a studio what to do and what game they need to make. At
I'm
the
not
same
sure.
time, though, it's a case of okay, that bet is we
Listen,
can't sustain that bet anymore
at the end
because
of the day,
we can't fund loss-making games, and that's what they are.
yes.
So we've given you the opportunity. Unfortunately, these titles didn't hit the way you wanted them to hit, so therefore we can't. So we've given you that freedom. That freedom's not paid off, and unfortunately,
It
that's
hasn't paid
where the
off
studio
in
is.
too many cases. Listen,
Yeah.
if this would be a good strategy, a lot more studios would stand at a very different point where they are now.
Yeah.
And this not just goes for Xbox, but in general. This idea of let people do what they want and spend hundreds of millions of dollars on passion
Yeah.
projects, on games that you already can tell they might be good games. They might even be great games. They might be artistical games. They might be, in case of Hellblade, technical masterpieces. But everyone knew this is not going to attract a big audience. And at the end of the day, that is why this industry is so unhealthy.
We kind of knew that last year, though, as well. Like, with the cadence of release, we were all saying it. It's like, that's like Xbox are releasing loads of games, and that's great, but none of these are like big, in your face, mass market appeal games.
Not one of them. And I mean, Asher has addressed that, right? That they want to focus more on the Fallouts, the Elder Scrolls, the Halos, the Gears, the big heavy hitters. And honestly, Xbox under Phil should have done the same earlier. You can have one or two of these passion project studios, or a big studio that does your big triple A blockbusters,
and then has a small team doing something else. Exactly.
20 people on the side to build a passion project. But they have too many studios entirely built around passion projects and at max AA games.
I think the only one that would be worth saving would be Obsidian, and that's just because of their capabilities and their speed in which that they pump games out.
I agree there. I hope Obsidian is not going to be affected. I understand the fact in case of Ninja Theory. Listen, it would not have hurt Xbox to go in and say, okay, we are going to invest in you. We're going to buy you. We're going to build you a new building. We're going to build a new Ninja studio. We're going to equip you with state-of-the-art mocap tech, state-of-the-art binaural audio recording studios, and everything that you need. But you are making us a God of War moment. You're making a visually mind-blowing game that is an action-adventure around Senua. Or choose the character. But that's the kind of game we want. And here you have the funding. But letting the studios itself choose what games to make, what kind of games they are, when your portfolio isn't there, I'm not surprised that this eventually is not paying off. And the same goes for Compulsion, that I have read this week.
I can understand Compulsion completely. They had We Happy Few, and then they had...
Listen, South of Midnight. South of Midnight apparently, take this with a grain of salt,
cost $100 million.
Cost $100 million. And I'm sorry, I enjoyed South of Midnight as well. Another good game. Yeah?
Yep.
But $100 million for this?
Yep.
A game that does not appeal from pure visual perspective, not appeal. It was a beautiful game. An artistic game. No doubt.
Yep.
But you see one screenshot and you know, okay, this is never ever gonna reach a wider audience. It's not going to attract gamers. You know that. Nope. You know that up front. $100 million, Dutch, for a 10-hour, very niche game. Very niche game. And you could know that up front. They have released We Happy Few in 2018. And it took them 7 years to make that game. And that's why I think $100 million isn't that unrealistic. I mean, yeah, if you that's like what 14 million a year. Yeah, over the course of 7 years, that adds up to $100 million. And 14 million a year is not that much. If you have like 100 people in a salary range of 100K, that's absolutely realistic. Adding equipment and rent and the overhead on top, that's not unrealistic. So I don't think 100 million is out of scope, but again, 100. Listen, Crimson Desert cost 120 million to make, and there are miles in between the scope and the gameplay experience and the attractiveness for a mass market in between a Crimson Desert and a South of Midnight. And I know Crimson Desert Korean game, different kind of salaries, different kind
You
of
can even
royalties.
but you can even look over to Expedition 33, their developers. That wasn't big budget. That was very small.
Very
I'm sure that
small
was like
budget.
30, 40 million or something
It
like that.
it came with the kind of visuals that can appeal to a wider audience. And I'm
Yeah,
sorry, I don't want to make this all about graphics because gaming is more than graphics. But it's obvious that a certain type of visual artistic art style is not attractive for a mass market game. There are always exceptions that prove the rule, right?
yeah,
I mean, Sea of Thieves, very similar in this like cell shaded um, art style, very successful, very successful. There is always an exception that proves the rule.
yeah,
But in general, you can tell that. And that's what I've said about Blade as well, Dutch, if you remember.
yeah,
Blade, big name, big Marvel IP behind it, right? Not gonna be a mass market product. Not with
nope,
that kind of art style. Can be the best game ever made, it'll not attract the mass market. And again, Xbox can have those little experiments and your keepers and kilns and pentiments and such and South of Midnight, but not if
yeah,
they cost 100 million
nope,
and you do not have the blockbusters to support it. And I think that is the big reset that Asha was talking about, or at least one part on the game
yeah,
and gaming studio side of things. Like you said, Dutch, look at last year. They Nobody can argue that Xbox didn't put out games. I can't remember, not even this year, they are putting out that many games, right? From Avowed to South of Midnight, the Tony Hawk remake, the Oblivion remake, the Gears remake, the Outer Worlds 2, and Ninja Gaiden was at least published by them, right? And supported, and Doom. And out of all of these games, there's one game that at least touches into the AAA space, and that is Doom. And all of the others are either passion projects, are smaller titles, maximum AA games like Avowed and
yeah,
Outer Worlds 2, right? None of them are system sellers. None of them will attract people to subscribe to Game Pass. None of them will buy. None of those games will attract people to buy a console or buy a game in the Xbox store. And with that, your growth potential is very limited. I know it's a very different story this year. Very different. This year they have a lot of these blockbusters, right? With Forza, with Gears, and well, Fable is now early next year. And of course, Halo, although I feel like Halo, since it is only a remake of a game that already got a remake, as much as I'm looking forward to play through Halo again, it's in this case Halo also doesn't fall under the like system seller. This is more fan service, which is great,
yeah,
which you can absolutely have in between the other blockbusters that make your ecosystem attractive too.
yeah, yeah. And what I would on the flip side, in support of the studios, one thing I will say is, in their defense, the MO has changed so much from Xbox in the last 5 years
Yeah,
as to what they want, what they're looking for, what they want studios to do, etc. And a lot of these games that they've had, as you've rightly mentioned, have took 4, 5, 6, 7 years to do.
yeah,
So the MO over that period, this generation has changed from do whatever you want. No, don't do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. Make just loads of games for Game Pass. Don't make loads of games for Game Pass. We want big titles. We need success. Game Pass needs to improve. Doesn't need to improve. We need to our cadence. Okay, let's get whatever out so we can say that our cadence has improved. But so in defense of the studios, they've been told so many different things that they need to do, and just be creative and do what you need to do. And then now they're like, okay, no, that's not what we're doing anymore. This is what we're going to do. In their defense, they can go back in these negotiations and say, listen, the only reason we did X, Y, and Z is because the MO from yourselves was to just do what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
So you told us to do that as a company. You invested in us on the basis that we do that. And now you're saying you're closing us down because you did that.
Yeah.
So in their defense, that is Xbox in a nutshell. And we've complained about Xbox in general anyway, and the constant shift in strategies over the last few years, which we've said won't make a difference. Like going multiplat will not make a difference to Xbox. They've noticed that. PlayStation's also noticed that going multiplat doesn't help them.
Yes,
because the sales
absolutely.
because the sales do ultimately they're just not as prominent on the other platforms, and it's been proven. They've put the big titles over on PlayStation. They put the Starfields over. They put the Halos over. The only one that's been successful thus far is Forza.
And again, if
and
that
Sea of
is a
Thieves.
successful game, that's obviously a game that people really want to play, that are invested
Exactly.
in that ecosystem. So it's even more so a reason to keep it exclusive, because
Exactly. But it's one of those games where you knew before it went over that it was going to be successful on the platform. You knew, because it's just it has that status.
Yes.
Forza Horizon has that status in the industry as the best open world racing game, bar none.
Yeah.
It's won it every year that it's been out. Every year it wins the same category, without shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
And it's just like I say, it's proven in the sales that the multi-platform strategy does not work on competing platforms. Yeah, absolutely. Fine. You put it on maybe Switch, or you put it on PC, because Switch isn't a competition. Switch is like tiny little handheld, and even then you don't put everything on.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that anymore with the Switch 2. The Switch 2 is increasingly becoming more attractive for AAA.
Oh, of course it is. It's definitely more attractive. But at the end, you've still got people on the flip side, though, because someone who's predominantly buying a Series X or a PlayStation 5 are doing so because they want the best looking games in the most affordable manner. The people who buy a Switch are not.
I get that train of thought, but in this day and age where the Switch is by far the most cheap option to play video games, right? It's the cheapest console out there. Well, the Series S actually is, but that is a different discussion. The attractive and now more and more third-party games come over. This is a real viable option. So I wouldn't put it on Switch either. Honestly, Dutch, this is already very muddled with we are on Steam. I actually would even think about pulling stuff from Steam. If they would be serious, improve your damn PC app. Why is it that games always run worse on the Xbox PC app?
Yeah.
But what you ultimately want is that people buy the games in your ecosystem, and that's not Steam. Yeah. And if you're really serious, make that PC app finally good. Honestly,
the only bonus that they've got for Xbox at the moment is Play Anywhere.
Play Anywhere,
which requires people not accessing it requires people not accessing the store, like not searching for something, because it automatically just is in the library.
I get that. I'm
one bonus.
Fully with you. But if you're really serious, then make it really like your ecosystem is PC and console.
Yes, I agree.
Your storefronts. That's that would be a strategy. But I'm with you that Xbox has changed course over the past decade so many times that, of course, as a studio, you stand there. Okay, first you wanted us to do this, then you wanted us to do that. That's not making the lives easier. On the other hand, I also feel, and I must say that this is not the average developer, your programmer or your writer and your whatever, level designer and so on. But studio heads, a the head of Compulsion, the head of Ninja Theory must know, hey, this game will never attract a mass audience. And if I employ here 100+ staff, I have to make a viable business product at the end of the day.
Oh, 100%. It's a business first and foremost, and they've got to produce products that are mass market appeal.
I get
and Microsoft and Xbox only have a finite amount of those.
Yes.
Diablo, one of them. Forza Horizon, one of them.
Yes.
Fable to be decided.
Yes,
it might be a very pretty game and massive.
Definitely.
But it's a potential. Halo, Gears,
Elder Scrolls,
unfortunately. Elder Scrolls.
Fallout.
Yeah.
Fallout. I mean, it's not that they do not have
Minecraft.
the IPs, right? The big blockbuster.
They have the big hitters.
They have them. Quicker. They have stuff like Doom as well, Wolfenstein. Yeah. It's Indiana Jones. Make that into one of the headline
stable IPs.
Yeah, stable IPs. They do have that, and honestly, a Senua could, or Hellblade could have become their. I don't want to always compare it to God of War, but a big action adventure.
It could have with a bigger scope. Yeah, 100%.
With a bigger scope, more ambition, and this whole idea of Phil and Sarah and actually Matt Booty. We always leave Matt Booty out. Matt Booty has been there for what now? Also almost a decade.
He needs to go.
Yeah,
he needs to go.
This idea of we give the studios full creative freedom. Listen, you're not running a charity at the end of the day, and everyone knew if you let studios produce 1-2 games that are not commercially viable, that do not grow Gamepass, that do not provide the necessary sales, and it's always a negative, of course you're facing layoffs. So I don't want to put it solely on Xbox.
No.
It's also the responsibility of the studios to, if you are backed by Microsoft like that, make a product, not just the dream you have at night. Make a product where okay, I can attract potentially a big audience. But unfortunately, a lot of these games, we knew Pentiment is not a success. We knew that even Avowed, I'm bringing it over to Obsidian, a studio I dearly love, right? But even the scope of an Avowed Avowed should have been the Obsidian take on Elder Scrolls, right? And with the original trailer, when they announced it, we had this vibe. It was dark and gritty, and you had this CGI animated sequence where he pulls out the source in one hand and does the magic trick with the other hand, which ended up to be in the game. But when they revealed the game, it was this stylized, super colorful art style. None of the dark, gritty world vibe was there. It lacked the visual. It was beautiful art style, but it lacked this little touch of, okay, this looks like a AAA game. This looks like a blockbuster game, right? It just didn't. It was a colorful, lighthearted, great game, but with that you're not attracting a bigger, wider audience. And it is easy to depict that in an early stage, honestly. Double Fine. Let's bring it over to Double Fine, Dutch. Double Fine released a great, great game with Psychonauts 2. Right? But ever since, that was like 6 years ago, ever since, we had a Keeper, we had a Killen. What are they doing? It's great that the people working at Compulsion can fulfill their idea they had while they were taking a shower in the morning. It's great, but obviously it's not gonna attract a wider audience, and it's not gonna be a business success. And yes, we've heard Double Fine has another project in the making with apparently a bigger scope. Where is it? It's been 6 years. It has been 6 years. 6 years of paying salaries, buying equipment, of paying the rent, paying the bills. Where is it? Where is it? And even the biggest...
Yeah, it's an unfortunate one as well, because, like I say, I love Double Fine. I love, obviously, the work Tim Schafer does.
I agree.
And Psychonauts was unbelievable, but you're right in the fact that we've been all waiting for the announcement of what's the next big thing. The next big thing, exactly. They're like, oh, here's a little game to keep you occupied. It's like, that's okay, and Keeper was great, but it's not mass market. Like, Psychonauts is the biggest thing you have. You need something that's on par, at least critically, like that was. At least critically.
Yes. And I want to encourage, of course, studios to try out new IP. But if you do not have that game in the pipeline, that idea for new IP, a new game that has at least the success of a potential Psychonauts 3, then you don't do it. Right? And at some point, you gotta play it a little bit more safe. Psychonauts 3 is what everyone wanted. Everyone. Right? Or make a Brutal Legends 2. Make that. Right? It's not like Double Fine doesn't have the IP, but a Killen...
It's not like they don't have the connection with Jack Black, because they do.
True that.
He was both in Psychonauts and in Brutal Legends, so...
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like I say, for the sake of their creativity, I don't want them to go. I think out of all of them, you don't want to lose someone like a Tim Schafer.
I agree there.
I can understand. 100. The only one the one that I can completely understand, top to bottom, is Compulsion. 100%. 100%. The only game they've produced was, again, a great little game, South of Midnight, but it just wasn't mass market. And it was never going to make up the apparent money that they invested in that studio. So I can understand them. And before that, We Happy Few didn't exactly do anything. It didn't launch in a good state. It took a long time to fix it and get it into an actual completed state. And then they purchased them, which for me was a weird one when they originally purchased them, because I was like, they've done nothing.
And I mean, when you buy a studio that make We Happy Few, right, and that was released like a month before they bought them, you knew what you were getting. You knew the kind of quality developer, where are they in terms of their own capabilities. You knew that. You just had to take a look at We Happy Few. And granted, South of Midnight, much better game.
Yeah.
But again, for that kind of investment, and this is the problem with, unfortunately, a lot of these studios. Let's talk about Arcane. We already mentioned Blade. Listen, a studio in Arcane. When did they release Deathloop? That was 21, right?
Mm-hmm. I didn't like Deathloop at all.
Me neither. But okay, it could be personal taste. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I don't even think it was personal taste. I think it was the whole PS5 push. It was
Yeah,
industry glazed, completely glazed by the industry as being this revolutionary new thing, and
absolutely.
it just
I
wasn't good. It just wasn't a good game.
I don't. I agree. It just wasn't a really good game. It wasn't. Yeah, it was like you said with the heavy PS5 push.
It was like a Sniper Elite if you die and have to repeat everything all over again.
Yeah, and so, but that's the kind of studio you're getting, right? And when was the last really successful game that they made? Probably Prey.
Yeah, and
At
that was a
least,
long time ago.
and
And
that's
that wasn't like super commercially successful either.
exactly. It was well received, rightfully so,
Yeah.
but it also wasn't like a big Bethesda blockbuster,
Nope.
in terms of sales.
And I think that the Blade thing has its issues as well, because it was kind of the resurgence of Blade through Marvel was meant to be this all-in-one thing, and
Yeah.
of course the movie's been delayed, and the movie's almost like to a point where it's almost shelved at this state. And the only other time you could have got it out and kind of rid on the wall of Blade was Deadpool 3.
Yeah.
Because as we've said before, including Indiana Jones, although Indy's a massive IP for us old people,
Yeah.
the new gen aren't particularly too bothered about it unless they just get told it's Uncharted, but it's like dated kind of in the past in like the 40s and 50s. But if you're talking about IPs that don't really have a standing, that would be one of them. It would be, unfortunately, it's just
I mean,
I don't think it's for an audience that's older.
that is. I don't think that is particularly an issue. I mean, it is a well-known Marvel character. Obviously, it doesn't carry the same name like a Spider-Man
Mm-hmm.
or your Captain America or whatever.
But
Iron
what the
Man.
last Blade film was Blade Trilogy or something like that
Yes,
with Ryan
it's
Reynolds in, and that was like what 2 decades ago.
yeah. I mean, Blade had a brief uh, part in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah, yeah. Deadpool Wolverine, yeah, Deadpool 3.
Yeah,
Yeah, a brief part in that, and
part.
that was his, like I say, that was his new reintroduction, and then of
Yes,
course the film was meant to be getting made
made.
beside that, and it
So,
hasn't.
but that's not Xbox's problem. The problem with that
No,
is
no, but
you
the
could.
issue for them is that the issue for them is the IP in itself. I think of all, we kind of said this when they announced it anyway. It's cool for us, but of
Yes.
all the Marvel IPs you could have chose to work on, of all of them,
Yeah.
Blade,
Yeah.
he's not the most. Let's face it. He's a nostalgic Marvel character, but
Yeah.
is he the most popular Marvel character?
Yeah.
No.
No, absolutely not. You could have made. Well, Captain America is being made by um,
Could have made an
Amy
actual
Henning.
decent Thor game, because the last Thor game that was
Thor.
released was
You
360
could
and it
have
was
made
horrific.
Iron Man, Hulk. There's
I crying out for an Iron Man with Anthem
yes,
controls.
yes, please give me that.
I don't know why.
Anyway,
Like, why do we have
if
to
you
just go
choose
and pitch
Blade,
these things?
listen, you choose Blade, you're saying, okay, we are making a game for adults. That
Yeah,
could work. I still think that could work. But you can't make a Blade game that needs to be dark and gory um
and make it cell shaded.
and make it cel shaded comic style. Not gonna work. And you need to put a can I say that? A better developer behind it.
Yeah, I agree.
Um it is unfortunate for the people at Arcane, but at the end of the day, also develop a studio that makes double A games at best, right? Um,
Yeah,
that do not have the ambition to grow. and this is where the mismanagement from Xbox comes in. You knew what you were buying. You knew when you bought a Double Fine what you're getting. You knew when you bought a Ninja Theory what you're getting. You knew what you get with Compulsion and all those studios. And you either take them and develop them, do not give them full creative freedom, and let them choose what kind of game they are making. You are setting the boundaries. Listen, Compulsion. We Happy Few was okay. You're getting this funding, and we need you to become a developer that makes this kind of game with this kind of scope. Ninja Theory, listen, the talent's there. You technical wizards. We're giving you the funding, but you make us a big action adventure. Something for the headlines. Not this niche product as in a walking simulator. And honestly, the same goes for Rare. I know Rare is beloved actually, because it has a huge history.
Believe it or not, Rare's apparently not one of the ones under fire.
At least
and I can understand.
I would be surprised though, as well. If not, I would be surprised though if not.
But I can also understand it because the last game they made, which is still ongoing,
yes, Sea of Thieves,
is a significant hit.
I know, but listen, that has been the
what they need to be telling them. What they need to be telling them though with Rare right now is right. The Sea of Thieves 1, that is as far as that can go now. Yes. You need to stop working on Sea of Thieves 1. You've now the next update is you can build your own shit. So now everyone's got the creative freedom to play on it a while, whilst you can go out and make the next iteration.
Yes.
Everything that you wanted to do that technically couldn't be done on the previous hardware, you can now take full advantage of it and make the best next version of Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
They've got their server capabilities now, so they're not going to have server issues on launch like they did the first one. They've learned the lesson again. On.
Listen, dude, I know the Bungie bros. I'm one of them. Xbox needs a kid-friendly IP, right?
Yeah.
They kind of have that with Spyro, but then they decided to let Toys for Bob go away, right?
Yeah.
That's now also a multi-platform title. It is not an Xbox game anymore. It is developed with
See if these are the closest you're going to get to a kid-friendly game.
So you need your Astrobot or your Mario, right? And you have that in Bungie, in Banjo, and you have the studio to do it.
Yeah.
Stop this bullshit with let them make an Everwild. Here, we need a kid-friendly IP, and we want a Bungie game from you in 3 years. Bam, make it. Toys for Bob did it with Spyro in less than 3 years. It is possible, right?
It is. But like I say,
this is where the mismanagement.
Sea of Thieves has massive legs, which is why I think they're fine. The IP in itself can be expanded up so because of the enhancements. I mean, released on Xbox One for crying out loud. Because of the enhancements on technology since then, I fully expect the next iteration of what they do, hopefully another Sea of Thieves, to be significantly more, a much broader option, a much more different biomes and things like that you can go to, and mix in like a little bit more, again, a little bit more campaign, a bit like, again, Pirates of the Caribbean has this overarching story all the way through. You need to bring that kind of thing into it, as well as your open seas kind of. But there's lots that can be done. But the one studio I think that could be under fire, despite a game coming out next year, Undead Labs. As much as you hate to think, it's again, unfortunately, a niche title.
It kind of is, but it is a niche title that attracted a lot of people. State of Decay 2 was very successful. It ended up at, I think, 12 million.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think it was that successful.
Give me a second. Where
Found it?
well, in 2022 they topped 10 million,
Okay.
but yeah, I think it finally ended up in the ballpark of around 12, right? So more than 10 million players is not that niche anymore.
That's a surprise.
Yeah, and State of Decay
My only
Undead
concern with it.
Hang on
Go
1
on.
second. Undead Labs did one thing. They never, very similar to Rare. Did not abandon that game. They kept supporting it. They kept
the hell out of
improving
it.
And that's why it ended up at player count at above 10 million. And yes, it took them a long time to make State of Decay 3. But if
don't get
State of Decay 3
fantastic, and we'll get onto that.
yeah, we'll talk about that a little later, so we can end it on a high note, the show.
Yeah.
But I don't think that Undead Labs is particularly right now in the focus, because with State of Decay 3 they have this ongoing game that attracts at least a couple of million players. And
you hope so.
Right now, outside of the two evergreens that are Fallout 76 and Elder Scrolls Online, they do not have those typical ongoing games as a service games. And with State of Decay 3, it's probably not gonna be the typical gas game, but at least they have something like that, you know.
It's hard to say if they do or don't. Minecraft is.
Minecraft definitely is. I agree.
Sea of Thieves is to a point, because obviously it's not so much games as a service, but it's full of skins. It's full of fucking ships and ship sets and things that people can purchase, and weapon skins and
yeah. But yeah, you're right. They do have more than Fallout 7. I mean, even Sea of Thieves probably falls under that.
Forza Horizon.
Forza Horizon, I wouldn't say is a typical games as a service title.
It's not your typical one, but it has your constant car packs. It has your DLCs.
True. It has its DLCs, but that's not the definition of an ongoing game.
No, I mean, it does have car packs, new car packs that come out every other couple of months.
It depends on viewpoint. You could put it into that category. But yeah, with Undead Labs, I don't feel like that is particularly a focus right now for them.
Yeah.
Because again,
the one thing that we can never complain about Microsoft at is they've been very successful at making games as a service games that people want to play.
Yeah.
Like, we can never knock them for that, which is why it was so strange that Sony were trying to pivot to that, because they don't have any proof. There's no proof of concept from Sony to have ever made something that's been successful in that.
You know what is weird? If this whole strategy is all about, okay, we need to focus, and I get that, and I'm behind that actually. I get
we need to focus on big hitters,
to focus on bigger titles, and we'll talk about it in a second as to how they can pump them out quicker, because the development times is also an issue. But one thing to this that makes one of the last big decisions from Phil and Sarah even worse, because when they canceled last year all those games, they, at least to the public knowledge, outside of Everwild, they didn't cancel the passion projects. They canceled the potential heavy hitters. They canceled
Perfect
Perfect
Dark.
Dark. They
Yep.
canceled the next big ZeniMax online game that they have worked upon for more than 5 years. That must have
Yep.
been pretty late in development, right? They canceled those kind of games. And that is crazy. I mean, we really don't know about the state of Perfect Dark and how much longer they would have needed to continue to support that. But Perfect Dark was one of those games, right, that could have been a heavy hitter. It had the visuals, it had the scope, the genre to be a successful AAA blockbuster title. And ZeniMax Online have been super successful with Elder Scrolls Online, right? And
in the latter years,
Passion Project.
in the latter years,
yeah,
when that first release, that was an absolute clusterfuck as well.
It was, but it was a successful clusterfuck.
It was in the end, and again, you have to go back to Microsoft as well in the latter stages, because Microsoft, to their part, have continued to support these studios to make sure that these games can get where they need to be successful.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. On the flip side, they need to pump out games quicker.
Yep.
I mean, it has become apparent that it's not just the passion projects and scope of games that they were after. It is Gears apparently cost $400 million to make.
The new Gears E-Day.
Gears E-Day. Again, take that with a grain of salt. Nothing has been officially confirmed, but that has been reported also this week from different kind of sources. And
to be fair, they also said, remember, Halo Infinite was apparently, including investing in the new engine, etc., was to the tune of almost half a billion. That was including investment in the new engine.
Which game was that?
Infinite. Halo Infinite.
Yeah. Now, listen, I love Gears. Absolutely.
And the funniest thing about that, though, is the fact that after all that investment for Halo Infinite and the new engine, they ended up going over to Unreal anyway.
Yeah. I mean, Infinite, yes. I'm with you. Let me make my point on Gears. Who greenlights 400 million for a Gears? This is such a high risk. Because as much as I personally love Gears, at the end of the day, you can't deny that the popularity of Gears has declined with 4 to 5. It is not a safe bet that you will recoup 400 million. Right? Even if you sell all your games at full price at, let's say, $70, yeah, that's like, hang on, 400 million divided by 70 is, you end up at around, you need to sell almost 6 million units. Sell at full price. And just to recoup that, right? And honestly, that is a challenging thing, right? A lot of players will play it through Gamepass. And granted, sometimes you need those blockbusters to grow the ecosystem, and so that the next game can sell more. And I'm behind that, but it is a ridiculous amount of money, right? And like you mentioned, Halo Infinite. What a waste of money. I mean, that the entire Halo franchise has been handled like
terrible.
For how much this IP is beloved, the way they handled Infinite, the way they handled Halo ever since, right? You do not do that with your big flagship IP. And I feel it doesn't seem that Halo Studios is on such good track with the next one either, right? Given how long that takes to make, given how much they need to invest for the engine switch, which also reduces margins significantly, not having your own proprietary engine anymore, right?
Yep.
Epic's going to get a big cut from all those sales. And then it takes years and years and years. And even a studio like Playground, probably the best working studio at the moment from the original Xbox Game Studios, right? Fable took them almost 10 years.
Yep.
Um,
I'm kind of, what it is, the funny, I can give them a little bit of a pass for Playground. Well, the only reason that is because it's a complete 360 direction change. You're making an open world driving sim
but you
to
can
make
find
an RPG.
listen, you can always find arguments why things happened that way.
Yeah.
Right? With Halo Infinite, they all blamed it on COVID, which was bullshit.
But the good thing is that now that they've got the experience, that the next one will not take a decade to make because they've got all the tools built, they've got the engine sorted, they know how to do it. Next one's going to be much more streamlined.
Yeah.
So I can give them a pass on the first initial wave. Yeah,
I agree. But at the end of the day, they had to pay 10 years of salaries for all the developers at Playground without.
On the flip side, within those 10 years, they also had a couple of Forza Horizons that have been hyper successful.
Absolutely agree.
And that's to your point earlier. If you're making something in the background, you need to have something releasing that's going to
make your studio profitable.
Yeah,
absolutely. No, but at the end of the day, all those games again. Look at Compulsion. It took them 7 years to make a South of Midnight, a game of that scope, right? Look at Ninja Theory, and I know some people always bring up, but there was the pandemic, and obviously the pandemic slowed things down. But let's be realistic. The pandemic lasted, where people were actually forced to work from home and so on, that lasted, let's say, 2 years. And even if it slowed down things didn't stop. So you can give 1 year for, due to COVID to everything. And everything else is studios are not handled or managed properly. And maybe it all comes down to, again, giving too much freedom. Oh, we need another 3 years for the game. No problem. But it's great you're making Kiln.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know. And this is why I understand this whole move from Asher now. My problem with this is, with this whole reset that is being talked about, and we've covered now extensively, right? Mm-hmm. Is I don't trust Xbox or Microsoft as a whole.
No.
As much as I understand the logic behind this move, right?
Yep.
Focus on bigger IPs that you can actually sell, making them exclusive. I mean, the most logic thing, everyone has done it and never changed that idea. There has not been a single point in time where PlayStation thought about releasing a God of War on Xbox or Nintendo releasing Zelda on PlayStation, right?
Nope.
It's the most logic thing for a platform holder to have exclusives. And so many strategy shifts over the years, and not one of them had the chance to pan out, right? You cannot run this kind of the business of a video game OEM, a platform holder, in a sense where, okay, we are doing something and we will see the return of investment within the next year or the next 2 years. all these strategies, these ideas set you up always on a course for the next 5 to 10 years, right?
Yeah.
If Xbox had for a long time the big issue that they didn't have enough studios and games, right? The whole Xbox has no games narrative, and that it's only Halo, Gears, and Forza, right? They had that for a long time. So when Phil finally was able to convince Microsoft to give him some money, he went out on a shopping spree, and boy, did they shop, right? From individual smaller studios like Ninja Theory and Compulsion and so on and Double Fine and even Playground, right? Playground was acquired in 2018. To publishers like Bethesda, ZeniMax, and finally Activision Blizzard King. All right, they had the games now. They had the games. Unfortunately, it took them all 5, 6, no, 7, 8, 9 years to make a game and release it. And as soon as they had the games, right, starting, let's say, 24 was probably the start of where we saw from Xbox a start of a regular release of games. They decided to go multi-plat and not let the games that you finally had do its actual job, build FOMO over there on people that do not have an Xbox, right?
One thing they need to wrap their heads around from the very top is there are literally thousands of third-party studios worldwide that are creating games that go on all platforms at all points. You, as a first-party developer and studio, do not need at any point to release your games on any other platform other than your own. There are so many third-party games out there on a weekly and monthly basis. There is never a point where you need to put your titles on other platforms in order to be more successful. You need to convince people why to get your platform over the others so that they choose to play your games and the third-party games on your platform.
Exactly. It is this whole narrative. And unfortunately, Dutch, we've always said this for as long as we do the podcast, which is already more than 5 years. Can that be?
Yeah.
Can that be? We've said this whole it's not about console sales anymore is complete and utter bullshit. It always has been about sales because you're not selling hardware, you're selling storefronts. That's where the money is. Like you said, you want people to buy GTA in your store and make the money of the microtransactions that are being sold. That's what this whole business of being a platform holder is all about, and it has never changed that way. And that is my concern. As much as I'm behind this idea of Asher and Matthew Balls and so on, to get rid of the passion projects, focus more on actual system sellers, I understand that, as much as it pains me to say for the people working at Ninja Theory and Compulsion. I know that, yeah, but I get the business perspective of it. I fear that because I think it is the right move, but to see the success of this move, you need a long breath, because making Gears an exclusive is not enough. It is
not
enough.
This late in the generation. It's not.
Even at the beginning of the generation, it would not be enough. It would be enough if Fable is also an exclusive. It would be, and then Elder Scrolls is an exclusive, and then Halo is an exclusive, and suddenly you start to build the FOMO of people that do own a PlayStation or a Switch, right? Man, I'm missing out on all these great games. Not a single game can do that, but it's this continuous streak of heavy hitters that you are not being able to play, that you cannot play if you do only own a PlayStation. That's not one game, that's not two games, that's a continuous release of those games. PlayStation had that for a long time. They've kind of stopped, which is, by the way, also supporting my argument earlier. These decisions, Jim Ryan putting all these bets on games as a service titles and then cancel it, will haunt PlayStation for another 4 or 5 years. It none of these decisions you make pan out in the next year or two. The decisions you make today, if you like PlayStation, bet all your eggs. Every studio makes games as a service titles now, and when it does not turn out, and then you cancel them, and then that leaves you with a bunch of studios that need at least 5+ years to make the next game. It'll show up, and but for the longest part, up until I want to say, let's say 23, 24, PlayStation had this continuous stream of those big blockbuster titles. Each and every year, you had like 2 games where people over at Xbox said, "Man, but I really want to play a God of War, and I really want to play an Uncharted or a Spider-Man or a Horizon or whatnot," right? They had that. That's what made their ecosystem big. And I fear that Microsoft and Xbox do not have the breath to go through the next 2-3 years, because they have a next gen console coming up, right? And it's most likely going to release in 27. So, and that is a key point for them. Why? Because you said it. We are late in the generation. We are very late. There's barely anything you will be changing now. But with the start of a next gen, you kind of reset certain things. I know it's a little different than in the older days, because we all have our digital libraries now that you.
I've also got a little, just to kind of interject quickly before I move on from this and the thought disappears. I've just been reading up there on the 400 million. That was apparently for E-Day. It's not for E-Day. So it's for the coalition as a company,
Okay.
the 400 million. And that's for all projects that they've been working on in the last X amount of years. That includes working directly with Epic on Unreal, working with Undead Labs, working with multiple studios.
Making the Gears remake and so on. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know.
So that makes a bit more sense.
Yeah, makes more sense, definitely. Anyways, that's the thing, right? They have a chance with Project Helix, where at least to a certain degrees, to a certain degree, things get a certain reset. But they have to have big AAA titles to back it up. They have to have an Elder Scrolls 6 as a system seller for Project Helix as an exclusive, followed up by the next Halo that needs to be good. That needs to be really good, right?
Well, like I say, we'll get a kind of an inkling as to how it feels when the remake of Combat Evolved comes out, because that's Unreal.
Yeah.
And also the storytelling abilities, because of course we've got the 3 prologue episodes.
Yeah.
So has that improved? We'll get to find out in those at least a snippet of it on the prologue episode.
Yeah.
And then the only other thing that we do know from the new Halo is that it will be another semi-open world thing again.
Absolutely. So yeah, and again, to wrap my point up, as much as I understand what Azure is trying to do, I hope that Xbox picks this lane and sticks with it.
Yeah, ultimately that's all we need. We need them to stick to a strategy.
Exactly. It would be a clear strategy, right? To focus more on the big games. As much as it pains now, get rid of the passion projects and the small budget titles.
You can Xbox. You don't even have to do that. Ultimately, all they need to do is go, right, what we'll do, much like Sony do, is we don't buy the studios. We'll say, right, we will partner with you on this project. We'll give you X amount of money towards this project, and that is that. We don't have to worry about its success or not.
Yeah.
We're getting paid regardless. Like, ultimately, it's not our problem. We don't have to check in on you all of the time because ultimately, yes, we've invested, but it's not something that we have ultimate control over. It's your thing. You need that to release because your studio to survival depends on it releasing.
Yeah.
For yourselves. That's what they need to do. So I'm all for them concentrating their own efforts and their own investments on big games. But just team up. Just go, okay, we're working with these 3 studios to make as partners. Okay, we've got partnership studios. They control themselves, look after themselves. Financially, they're at their own risk. We're chipping in 50% or 45% of the cost, or whatever it is. Fine.
Yeah.
It saves you a buckload of money. It still gets you this additional content on the side.
Yeah.
Do it that way. Then it's a win-win. You can easily do that with your Double Fine. You can do that with your Compulsions. You can do that with like your Ninja Theories. Listen, guys, we're going to part ways. You're going to be your independents, or someone else is going to own you. But we don't want to kind of sever ties completely. We still want to work with you guys on content, these smaller niche content that you want to make. But we'll just invest a little bit into that particular project.
Yeah. And make the investments realistic, not 100 million for South of Midnight.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Let's see if Escher can actually speed the development processes up. Make those right calls. I mean, Fallout is also an IP heavily underused, right?
Yeah.
I don't understand how you can let you have Obsidian and everyone wants a New Vegas 2, right?
Yeah.
Make
They might be getting tasked at that behind the scenes. You just never know. They might be going, listen, guys, you know what people want, so let's just get it done.
Yeah, I would place a bet that this is over. You're not gonna make the next Pentiment. We let you work on Grounded.
But the next we can understand that there's an Avowed 2 in development. That's fine, but we need you guys to make. Because they are.
I would pull that. Listen, Avowed, as much as I personally enjoyed Avowed, you're not making Avowed 2. You're not making Outer Worlds 3. You focus all your efforts on
Outer Worlds 2 just did not hit for me.
Not at all.
I just couldn't get into it.
And you're making now with all the teams a Fallout New Vegas 2. That's the project we need. That's where we know you can be good at. But it's not gonna be these Avoweds and these Outer Worlds anymore. If they can hit that spirit, it will still take us 5 years till we see that game then. Yeah.
Yep.
And I know with the success of the TV show especially, it's such a stupid thing, right? I mean, obviously they could not have known that the Fallout series is that successful. But you knew that it has
not after Halo.
Not after Halo. But
you know what it is? That still frustrates the living shit out of me because the last episode of Halo started getting really good. It was all action. It was like it was on Halo. It was going seeing Guilty Spark for the first time. It was the fight with Arbiter and Master Chief. That was Halo.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is so frustrating. Like right until the last episode of season 2, and that's when it starts to feel like Halo.
Yeah. But you get my point. This opportunity is gone. Yeah, you can't pull a Fallout game out of your ass. It'll take you a while. I hope that they greenlit that remake that everybody wants, at least and launch it within a realistic window, along with Fallout Season 3 or something, right?
Yeah.
That's it. That's the game you are making, right? And Elder Scrolls 6, right? Announced in 2018. Come on, guys. What's taking you so long? I know they made Starfield in between,
No, it's Todd Howard.
and it
He takes forever.
even there, right? Listen, Todd, we love you, but get your act together. This game needs to be here in the launch window of Project Helix, and we are making it an exclusive.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? That would be the strategy. I feel like that this is the tendency, but again, do they stick to this strategy long enough will be the big question.
Yep.
All right, Dutch.
That's the ultimate question. They just need to stick to the strategy.
Yeah.
Don't deviate. Don't change your minds. You've said you're going to do exclusives, so do fucking exclusives.
Yeah.
Do your big AAAs. Get them out. Spend more money on them. Make sure they're the best they can absolutely be. Do better QA on them before the launch.
Yeah.
If you've got multiplayer invested, do playtesting, proper open playtesting to stress test the servers. Make sure that if you've got a multiplayer game like a Halo, that you have a significant amount of content ready for launch. Basic things.
Yeah.
You don't need. You would have thought that the company as a whole, after Sea of Thieves, had the bare bones, super bare bones for the first year or so of it being launched, would have learnt that a dry content launch on a multiplayer game is terrible. But yet Halo happened.
Exactly. And Redfall.
Oh god, let's not talk about Redfall.
So, yeah, it'll keep us.
That was Arcane as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. I want to say.
Arcane's not looking great.
Yeah, Arcane Studios, yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, what I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. Anyway, I think this will happen faster than people think. Microsoft has their at the end of the month and the month is almost over, right? They have their fiscal financial report, and as soon as July starts, official things will be announced. And maybe one last thing: this whole reset is not going to focus only and solely on studios and games. I feel like they will make bold moves on the hardware side as well as the platform side of things. I feel like the hard reset will include massive changes to Gamepass.
It needs to make it significantly streamlined. Like I said, we've said it already. We've said Game Pass needs to have your bog standard tier at the bottom.
Yeah.
Bog standard, an Xbox tier, and an Ultimate tier. If they're going to go in tiers. If they're not going to go in tiers, then make it a builder subscription.
Yeah. And that's
where you start off with a base, and then you go, okay, what do I want to add in it? First party day and date. Boop. Right. That's X amount per month. Yeah. Do I want EA access? Yeah. Boop. There's another one. Do I want this on? Yeah. Boop. This one. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's either a builder sub where you can add things on, like we used to have, believe it or not, strangely enough, because we used to have Xbox Live Gold, and then you'd add on EA access, and you'd add on this, and you'd add on. So just bring that back if you want these additional subscriptions. Let's just do that.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I think is going to happen. Right? And I feel like they will change things with availability of consoles. On a short term, with the Xbox Series X and S, you will see third parties building the consoles for certain markets. it'll be tech-wise more or less the same.
Yeah.
It will run the same games, and it will perform the same way, right, than the Series X. But Asus maybe doing Xbox consoles for the Asian region, and I don't know, HP or Dell making Xbox consoles for the European market. They will do something like that, where not all Xbox consoles worldwide are directly from Microsoft, but they will, because this whole situation of RAM prices and storage prices in particular will eventually go down again, but not within the next 2 or 3 years. And they have a potential high demand this year with GTA coming up, and they will have a high demand for Project Helix next year. And all of that is still happening in this storage crisis, right? And so I think they will change things there as well. Yeah, but we shall see, man. We shall see.
We shall indeed. We shall.
Dutch, we need to talk about something more positive than studio closures. Let's talk games. Let's talk about games. State of Decay got 74 minutes of gameplay this week. I'm not sure if that was officially allowed to being released or whether someone leaked that just from the alpha build.
No, it was allowed. It was he said underneath, and in the if you have a look at the caption underneath, he says this is from a while back, and I've eventually been able to release the footage of me playing this alpha.
Yeah, pre-alpha
test
build. It said.
Yeah.
Even so, of course, this is not the final product, and we know, especially over the last year in a development cycle, most of the polishing is done, and I feel like State of Decay 3 is about a year out, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, what did you think of this now continued gameplay that we've seen?
Yeah, I mean it is ultimately more of the same that we've come to expect from State of Decay, from a gameplay perspective. But although their art style is still apparent, it is good to see that they've went down a little bit more of a realistic route.
Yes.
The lighting is significantly better. A lot of the texture work is significantly better. The sound is significantly better. But it's like some of these, like I say, some of these basic things that you see. And judging by what I've seen on there as well, the world felt like it was a little bit larger as well. Like the actual explorable world felt like it was larger. Because the guy was driving for like 2-3 minutes and he was just getting to like a tiny little, wasn't it? It was like more of a gas station in a tiny town. It wasn't like a city or anything. It was just like this tiny little section. And he even had a cut in it when he was driving, so it showed he must have been driving for a few minutes at least.
Yeah.
So it seems like it's relatively big. There's more to it.
Absolutely. It also feels like the combat has improved. Felt a lot more organic in terms of shooting, and also it's hard to tell because we really don't know how far along in the game the guy was, or but he didn't seem to have any issues with like ammo and such, being able to fight more, right? That looked definitely like a lot of fun, but essentially, like you said, they kept the core of State of Decay, which is great to see because it's a unique take, right, with the permadeath and everything, and then super addictive game. Definitely made me wanna, okay, if they can polish that up from this pre-alpha footage to full release, this has a good potential.
Yeah, 100%. Like I say, it looks great for pre-alpha.
Absolutely.
And it's a significant amount of gameplay we got as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We got that. And again, we said it earlier, State of Decay 2, super successful, 10 plus million players, with a game that looks like that, plays like that.
I think what it benefits from is there's so many people that loved the whole Rust and DayZ and things like that, where it's survival.
Yeah.
Survival and go and find your items and learn to survive, and so many people play those games. So I can kind of see on the flip side as well why that would also end up becoming popular, especially on PC. I think it sold 2.5, 3 million on PC.
Yeah, I mean, again, I was super addicted to the State of Decay 2. It had this weird addictive gameplay loop where you were like, okay, I'm just going out now for one more run, loot one or two houses, and then I go to bed, and that's it for the night. But I ended up staying up till 3 a.m. in the morning, hating myself the next day, and then do it all over again. It is just a super addictive gameplay loop. And if this is now advanced, not just from a visual perspective, but just a little bit more fluent, little bit more modern in term, a little bit more high quality mechanics, right? Shooting improved, better user interface, because that's important in a survival game, right? The way how you manage um, your equipment, the way how you build your base and stuff. If they can improve upon that, and it looks like they did, I'm all for it, man. I'm all for it.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Like I didn't really get into the first game. I was way too late to that party.
Mm,
And obviously, by the time you try to go into an older game like State of Decay 1, which was released like 360,
yeah,
it was far too outdated to start playing that game at that point. So I jumped into State of Decay 2. Like I say, unfortunately, at launch the servers were dreadful. Um, and you had literally ghost zombies that you couldn't see that were attacking you, and glitches and lag and things. It was so terrible at launch, not from a gameplay perspective, from a sheer technical perspective. Servers and things were just dreadful. But the core gameplay was fun. The core gameplay was really fun. I just hope that my key thing is, and I know you're more the single player on this, but my key thing is I just hope that this game has a significantly better launch from a network perspective this time around.
yeah,
To allow fun interactions on this, because this is a really good co-op survival game
absolutely.
if it works.
Yeah, absolutely. I have I have the feeling that they will nail it this time much better. They're not doing this super buggy launch again.
Yeah, I
I
think the
mean,
coalition
they
would have
had
helped them
enough
with
time.
that as well as the
Yeah,
combat.
yeah, by the way, the coalition, Gears also got a few more infos this week. The
It did,
Unreal,
yes, at the State of Unreal.
exactly, the Unreal Fest. Um, what do you think about the latest tech demo from Gears?
I mean, again, the game looks absolutely fantastic. Is like I don't need to see more of it now. As is when you've been given enough gameplay to go, okay, I know what this game looks like. I know how this game plays. It looks fantastic. I'm good. I'm good to go now. I'm just looking forward to playing it. Then I think any more than that, you kind of just like, okay, I don't really want to see too much more.
I don't think we will see too much more. There will be the betas, right? With that, we
Yeah,
will see, of course, a little bit more about the multiplayer side of
yeah,
things. Don't feel like there's gonna be that many. I mean, it's not that far
nah,
away. It's good 3 months, and then the game comes out, right? And maybe something at Gamescom. They will have a new trailer and such. People will be able to play it there as well. Don't think we will see like a new trailer every other week or so. That's not gonna happen. But yeah, I was very impressed with the lighting, especially. Thinking about doing a video on that actually, because this is a really impressive demonstration of how Lumen can be used in a very good way with and still keeping the 60 FPS, right?
Yeah, this is ultimately why this is one of Unreal's staples and one of Unreal's kind of flagship titles that they always come to say this is our tech in fully working order.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, Gears looks phenomenal. Dutch, let us get to some of the community questions of the week.
Yes.
Each and every Wednesday, you guys can write in questions, topics, things you would like us to discuss. Completely free, not locked behind a Patreon or any paywall. And this week we asked people on a Thursday because we're here on a Friday. So the first question comes from Effectocom. I hope I pronounced that right. Good question. What's the most repeated question you get for the podcast?
We don't really have a specific repeated question, but what we usually get is
we do. People always ask us about pineapple on pizza.
Oh God, yeah. Apart from that, I was going to say usually the most common ones are asking us what our thoughts are on the topics that we're discussing. So we end up having to say
that's true.
Okay, we've kind of already discussed that. Yeah.
Yeah. But I would say, yeah, the pineapple pizza thing comes up a lot.
Yeah.
King Louis writes in and asks, September is going, and actually DM'd me that question in, I think that was Spanish. Could have been Portuguese as well. Hard to tell. Had to use AI to translate that.
Yeah.
So September is going to be crazy for gaming, but July and August seem dry. Any advice for games to bridge that gap?
God, it depends on what you're into. There's Halo coming out next month.
Yeah, Halo is coming in July.
You've got Rebirth out now. If you haven't played Rebirth, play that.
Most certainly.
I don't know what is out in June, July.
I mean, it also depends on what of the big blockbusters of this year you haven't played yet, right? I mean, Resident Evil Requiem, highly recommended. 007, for me personally, definitely a high runner-up for Game of the Year. Then Crimson Desert, probably my current Game of the Year. It's either that or 007, right? There's also Assassin's Creed Black Flag coming in July.
If you're a Nintendo fan, you've got Star Fox this month.
True that. A Plague Tale Resonance comes in August.
Yep.
I think there's enough to bridge the gap. I know what he means.
Yeah.
I mean, September is so crazy, right?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. And if I was any of the game developers there, I would heavily look into what is there no chance we can pull that into July or August?
Or push it 1 month later into October.
I mean, even October is now already a little crowded, and you do not want to get too close to GTA, right? What do you think is the best or the latest window before GTA? I mean, GTA is
beginning of October.
Beginning of October. Still too crowded. Like people, a week before is still September, and 500 games come out, right? In that week. So if you do October, you should probably look at least 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks before GTA. I know you would be going up against Call of Duty and such.
Yeah, I think Call of Duty's kind of fell off though.
I would rather look into releasing earlier because he's got a point. King Dewey Louis has a point. July and August are relatively dry. There's Halo coming, yes. It's gonna be a 12 to 15 hour game for people, right? With no multiplayer, it'll be a one and done. I'm not trying to mean that in a negative way, but that's how most people are gonna play it. They play through it once and then are ready to move on to the next game. And yes, Black Flag Resynced is a big remake a lot of people are looking forward to, including myself. Ultimately, it's a remake. And then that's about it for bigger heavy hitters in July and August. So I wouldn't release my game in September. I would do everything to get to mid of August. If you release a game mid of August, people are hungry for a new game. Halo has been out already for 3 weeks. Everybody will be finished. Black Flag has been out for 6 weeks. Everybody will be finished, right? And people are hungry for a new game that takes over the zeitgeist and gives people something to talk about. And I know it's not the traditional month to release a game, but I'd rather launch in the middle of the summer break than launching in between 500 other games in September.
Yep. Yeah, I can agree with that.
Okay, right, Dutch. That brings us to the big bridge question of the week. Always the big bridge, most consistent question asker, and this time, Dutch, it's a really good one. If you had a magic undo button that magically reverses any one Xbox, PlayStation, or Nintendo management decision, which one would it be? This would be to undo the closure of PlayStation's most creative hive mind, the Japan studio. Which one single decision from Xbox, PlayStation, or Nintendo management would you undo?
The acquisition of ABK.
Yeah, I fully agree. It's what I wanted to say as well. This was not a good thing for Xbox.
Nope. Or its players.
I know people will argue, well, but now they have Call of Duty and they have.
But it's no longer on Game Pass,
Candy
so that's
Crush.
completely ruled that benefit out as well.
Exactly. I look at it from a perspective for gamers. And Activision Blizzard King has done nothing good for gamers. Call of Duty itself was now 1 or 2 years in Game Pass, and that's about it. It's not in Game Pass anymore. So there's really no benefit for us that Xbox owns Call of Duty. No, none.
Yep.
Blizzard is not interesting for console gamers, at least. Blizzard releases. I love Diablo. Everyone knows that. I have 500 hours or so in Diablo 4 already. I love the game. But let's be realistic. It'll be another decade until we see Diablo 5.
Yeah.
So we're not getting anything there. The expansions are also not in Game Pass. So we as gamers have zero benefit from Xbox owning them. And then there's King, and who gives a shit about mobile? We also do not have a benefit from that. But what happened on the other side is that revenue expectations from Microsoft grew into, after spending $70 billion on the acquisition, plus another 10 billion on the lawyers and such, after a 2-year acquisition phase, Microsoft needs to see a return of the investment. And that has put the pressure on the Xbox division to a degree where Phil and Sarah saw no chance to meet those expectations other than giving up the identity of Xbox, getting rid of exclusives, doing bad moves for Gamepass, doing bad moves for the ecosystem. And that's all we got as gamers from it. And if they wouldn't have acquired ABK, Xbox would be in a very different spot today.
Yep, I agree. You wouldn't have had any of the rhetoric about putting games elsewhere if it wasn't for the acquisition.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right.
It's just not been a beneficial acquisition for anyone, not even Microsoft to that point.
Yeah. I know they're making a lot of revenue, but they are not seeing the return.
Yeah, but it's going to take significant amount of time to make up that investment.
Yeah. Absolutely.
70 billion. That's like decades worth of returns before they see that.
I mean, when you do such an acquisition, it's not about remaking $70 billion, because it's similar like when you buy a house, you are not doing the calculation like, okay, I buy a house for, I don't know, 500K, yeah, and then I need to save 500K in rent. That's not a calculation, because you have a property that is something worth, and if you don't feel like you need it anymore, you can sell it off again. So, but obviously, you need to have the revenue expectations grew to an unhealthy way, and I would argue, after the mess that was last year's Call of Duty, right? They don't have that many bullets in the chamber anymore for it to make sense for Microsoft as a whole, right? King with Candy Crush is also seeing a heavy decline in terms of revenue.
Good.
There is apparently a monopoly mobile game that steals all the users, right? And I mean, we don't need to talk about the Gamepass mess that Call of Duty created, and that cost them a lot of subscribers. So, yeah, I don't think ABK was particularly good for them. It has certainly not been good for us gamers, right?
Nope. I don't think any parties benefited from it.
Yeah.
Like, ultimately, I understand what you're saying, that you're not expecting to kind of get that money back immediately, but ultimately that's still a 70 billion black hole.
Yeah.
That they're not going to see any form of return on for a very long time.
I mean, from a business perspective, it's an easy thing to say. They could have taken the $70 billion and invested that in a different field. Let's say AI. They could have invested 70 billion more into AI. And if that makes you a return of investment of 10, 15, 20%, and ABK isn't, it's only making you a return of investment of 3 to 5%, that was not a good investment. Right? Anyway, Dutch, let's wrap this podcast up. I want to say a big thank you to our awesome community, to everyone who joined us here live today, but also a very big thank you to all the listeners on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, where we do have a continuously growing community as well. So We appreciate you all wherever you listened. Dutch, before we let everyone out of here, do you have something coming up? Any streams planned
No,
or something?
no, my streams are more unplanned these days, just when I feel like it.
Yeah.
I might do one tomorrow. I might do one Sunday. The Netherlands kick off at 6 o'clock tomorrow, though, so 7 o'clock your time.
Yeah.
So if I do a stream, it'll be in the morning.
I can understand. I've promised my kids, because Germany is playing at 10 p.m. my time.
Oof.
Yeah, and that's a little too late for the kids. So I promised them not to watch the game live, but that we watch it Sunday morning when we get up and we have breakfast on the couch, and then we are gonna watch the match there.
You're just gonna have to ignore social media and ignore the news.
I've promised that.
Don't go into our group chat, because we will post about it.
I will mute that group chat. I will, and then Sunday morning, I already discussed that with my wife, because even going online to look for the match online,
Gives you the
rewatch
score.
is careful, so she will have to start the match and then we look at the TV. But that's the plan, so that we can watch the match, the kids and I.
Can you not set yours to record in advance?
I cannot know.
See, I can. That's a benefit. I can just select.
In
okay,
theory,
record this.
I've never tried it, honestly. I think I have to attach a USB stick or something, because the TV itself does not have, but there's a good online library where we can rewatch the matches here. But usually when you go into that library, you see like all the thumbnails and then that will spoil everything. We will manage. So we will manage to watch the Germany game Sunday morning. And I will not go to Twitter before that, and not look into our WhatsApp group chat, and yeah.
Well, best of luck, Germany.
Thank you. And good luck to the Netherlands.
We've got Sweden tomorrow.
Yeah. Not going to be an easy match.
We shall see. Nothing's ever easy for the Netherlands these days.
It looks like, unfortunately. All right. Yeah, other than that, I will probably be working on a video over the weekend. And we will be back next Thursday, regular time.
Yeah.
I hope.
News permitting, but I suspect there's probably going to be news.
Yes.
With everything that's going on at the moment.
Yeah, I think so. I would assume so. So yeah, we will be back next Thursday. So thank you guys, everyone, again for joining us here today. The weekend is here, actually, right? And hope you have a great weekend. Enjoy some games. I will be playing definitely
Rebirth.
Yeah, spending some
that's
time.
What I'm going back on to.
Spending some time at the public pool, because it is in crazy heat wave that we have at the moment.
Yeah.
And yeah, I will be seeing you guys hopefully next week. Don't forget to game on.